my baby is not eating, he's not feeding well. But it's not that something's bothering his stomach. It's just that he's sucking and he's stopping, and then he gets tired because it's too tiring for him to try to breathe and suck at the same time because he's not getting any air through his nose. So that's why we have those symptoms, because the baby have their natural response to fighting off different infections. And I'm going to have a seat because I want to talk with you and not talk at you. And then we have home interventions. Nasal congestion. Sometimes we can use ocean nose spray. And this loosens secretions. How many know what ocean nose spray is? Okay. They're just saline drops, salt and water. But they come in a fancy name called ocean nose spray.
It's a white bottle with a little red top.
Yes. Yeah, Eckers have them. Right. And a lot of people, they cost about $3, and sometimes that's a lot, when we don't have it. So what we do, there's a home remedy or a home recipe for ocean nose spray that you can make yourself. And you take, and this will moisten the nasal passage, because when your baby have a cold and he's breathing fast and he's breathing dry air, then his nose gets dry. The mucous membranes get very dry. And your responsibility is to keep that area moist, okay? Because he's breathing, he's trying, baby, they mainly breathe out of their nose. So when they're breathing out of their nose fast, and they're breathing in all this cool air, then they can get very dry, and then that makes it even worse. So then your responsibility is to keep his nasal passage moistened. And you can do this in several ways. The best way is to start with the ocean nose spray. Okay, if you can't get the ocean nose spray, just mix 1/4 teaspoon of table salt, and this is on the handout, and 8 ounces of water.
Oh, okay.
And then you have there's a little dropper, not the bulb dropper, the blue dropper. You don't want to use that to insert the water. You want to get a small dropper, and you only want to put about 2 drops in each nose. Okay, because the first thing, you want to tilt the head back a little, but not too far back. Put 2 drops into each nose, and then the baby's going to feel that moistening in the nose, and then it's going to go back, and it's going to eventually get down the throat, But that will keep it moistened. And you only want to do that, you can do it about 3 times a day. But the main thing is to try to keep, the nasal passage very moist. After you do that, after you put the drops in the nose, you can wait a few minutes. And then if you hear the secretions loosening up, and the baby's really like, it's running out or whatever, then you can take the blue ball syringe, and then you can insert it in the baby nose. And don't just, babies hate this, because most times we don't know how to do it, I used to suction my baby out, all the time. He used to hate it, What you do, you don't have to, you don't have to squeeze it all the way and then, open it up, because it's going to suck everything up. You don't want to create any friction, so you don't want to do it too hard. Okay, so just, and when you do it, don't just let it go all at once. Do it and then let it go little at a time. So it'll create a continued, like an intermittent suction. And you do it with each nose, okay? The baby's hate it. And also, if your baby get a fever when you have a cold, then that's the time to use good old Tylenol. Okay, that's one thing you want to always keep in the house, Tylenol. And they have their the little instructions as to how much Tylenol, how much dropper, depending on the age. And most medications said under to consult a physician, you know. If when in doubt, call the pharmacy. You can call any pharmacy or any drugstore, and they will give you the information that you need. That's what they're there for. And a lot of people don't know that all they have to do is pick up the phone and call. Call the pharmacy. If your baby have a cold over the weekend, I mean real bad, and you don't know what to give your baby, call the pharmacist and ask them what will they recommend. What do they recommend? Pedicare is a common home medicine that most physicians would recommend because Pedicare is safe for any age group. I've seen 2-week-old baby on Pedicare because it's safe. And you don't want to just give your baby anything you see over the counter. There's a lot of medications out there, a lot of over the counter. But you don't want to just, you know, just pick out any one and give your baby. Learn to read labels. When it comes to your baby, read labels. Okay, try to make that a habit. Even with the milk, the food that you buy when your baby get up to age, learn to read the labels. Don't just give your baby anything over the counter. There's a lot of artificial things, there's a lot of chemicals and things out there, and a lot of preservatives. So Pedicare is one of the best recommended home medicines for babies. And children's Motrin. A lot of physicians are resorting to children's Motrin because children's Motrin, it clears up not only the fever, not only the nasal congestion. It don't do so much about the nasal congestion, but the main thing it does, it's also anti-inflammatory. So it, you know, the mucus that's building up, and you know, the coughing, all that, you know, irritating to the maybe windpipe, which is called a bronchitis. And cold is an upper respiratory infection, so that's going to be very irritating. So Motrin is anti-inflammatory, meaning that it decreases the swelling in the bronchi, it decreases the mucus, it just decreases the irritation. But some physicians, they don't, if your baby has been diagnosed as having bronchitis, a lot of times physicians won't just say that their baby have asthma. They'll just say bronchitis and your child will have a couple of episodes of bronchitis. But they don't like to give children Motrin to babies that may have an increased risk of asthma because Motrin acts similar to aspirin. And if your baby have asthma, then Motrin will most likely trigger a reaction just like aspirin. So that have happened in some cases, but not a lot of cases. So therefore, they just like to cover themselves and say, if your baby has asthma, don't give the baby Motrin because it can react like aspirin. But if your baby don't have asthma, don't worry about it. Motrin is very safe, and it's very important because it decreases the inflammation.
Explain to me again why a child with asthma or bronchitis might not should have Motrin. What will it do?
Okay, a child with asthma can react to aspirin. Even if that child has never been allergic to aspirin before, it can set off an allergic reaction. Even though you don't supposed to give your kids just plain baby aspirin at
It's
all.
like an additional attack or agitation?
It will produce what they call an allergic reaction. Motrin is not aspirin, but it has some of the chemical compounds of aspirin. And a lot of physicians, they don't like to take a chance of giving the baby Motrin when they have asthma because of that reaction, a possible reaction. And my pediatrician, I'm just blessed to have a good one because she really explained it. And don't think because you have you think your pediatrician is terrible, that you have to stay in that situation. But then, evaluate the situation first. See it, do all you can do, But then, if you feel you really need to change positions, you as a parent have to be responsible to give a baby, the best care that you can. So, my pediatrician was telling me about the Motrin, why she doesn't.
That's the same one that I changed from? what she told me to get my baby because it was the 8 hours instead of 4. And she said it had the anti-inflammatory. But she know my kid is also very and she thinks that he's going to be an asthmatic. So here, she didn't even know that. So like that's like the practice. But she's the one that told me to go out and buy more.
Okay,
She's trying to kill my baby.
No, she's not trying to kill my baby. Some pediatricians feel comfortable with that, but my pediatrician may just be, more paranoid,
Just more
Did you go buy it yourself?
It made him sleep. So it could be, and he need, it made him sleep. And he needed to sleep because of what he was going through. But I also was running a humidifier.
I was delivering
The wet one to try to help him to breathe.
Yeah. I was just about to misspell that in my mind.
Diagnosed asthmatic.
No, it runs in my family. Asthma runs in my family. And she treats one of my nieces and nephews who's asthmatic. And every time Lance goes in, she puts him on Ventolin and tells him that she feels that he's showing more and more symptoms of asthma, but she's not said he's asthmatic. So she said he's suffers from bronchitis. Acute bronchitis is what she calls it.
A humidifier can be one of the best things you can get your baby. Humidifier. Anyone know what a humidifier is? It moistens the air. It's actually what it's called. It's a humidifier. It creates humidity. What it is, it's a small container that you put water in, and then there's a cap over that actually creates the steam that goes down in the water, and it creates a vapor. Okay? There are different types of humidifiers. Yes, the best. There's a vaporizer that you actually just pour water in, and then it creates the vapor. Okay? And then there's also humidifier. And most people put like the Vicks or something in the vapor. But don't put too much because that can also irritate the baby, too much of that breathing in, There's also a dry humidifier, which is just like a fan circling and it's supposed to create some type of humidity. But the best one that I came across was the cool mist humidifier. And each doctor have their different recommendations. The cool mist humidifier is the same container, and what it has some of them have a filter, a square filter that filters out different things that get trapped in the air. But you can just get a plain one, and what it has a little thing that goes down in there, and then it has an opening. And from that opening shoots out, you can actually see the water sprouting in the air, and it's creating a mist in the air. And then your baby breathes that in, and then it helps moisten, his throat, and it helps moisten the nasal cavity. And that's one of the best things you can do for your baby. Especially when you're going quickly. The cool mist seems to work best. But the vaporizer have its function too. In the winter time, you use a cool mist, sometimes it may be too cool in that room for a baby. So then you'll have to kind of use your judgment and create almost a perfect atmosphere, which you can't, but one that's most, comfortable for your baby.